Get some specifics on this deal that you're announcing today, that you've signed off today. It's going to come into force. When will it actually begin?
So the treaty that we've signed, we're laying today, and the new immigration rules that underpin it, and that comes into force tomorrow.
Right.
The first step will be to be detaining people, because people will be detained until they are removed to France, and we expect those detentions to start in a matter of days. So clearly we will start this. It is a pilot programme. It will start with the numbers being lower and then will build up. But I think this is really important. The groundbreaking principle here is that people can be returned to France if they arrive on these dangerous and illegal small boats. In return, we will take people who have applied legally through a legal process, been through security checks, but we should be returning people who have made these illegal crossings.
OK, starts tomorrow. You expect it to begin within days. Are these people who will be detained and sent back the people who've just come over on the boat in the past few days, or people who've been here for a while?
The idea is this will apply to people who, when they arrive by small boat, will be detained immediately on arrival.
So it's people who are starting to come from the next few days, right? OK. Now, you say the pilot scheme, and it's reported that it'll be 50 a week. You know, there's criticism about that being a drop in the ocean, nowhere near enough, a tiny fraction of the number of people come across by boat. Is that accurate, that you're going to start with 50 a week?
So we're not setting out the numbers, and there's some specific reasons for that. Of course, the numbers will start lower and then build up. It's the nature of a new programme that has never been done before, and I think the principles underlying it are the right ones. But we also been clear that the reasons for not setting out the numbers is, firstly, the numbers will vary, and we want them to increase, and we have not set an overall figure for the programme. But also, secondly, we don't want to provide operational information for criminal gangs who will then use it. If they think there are particular numbers of people who are going to be detained on particular days, they will then use that and operate their boats and their gang operations around that, and that's not what we're prepared to tolerate.
Appreciate that, and you don't want to give any help to the people smugglers, but you must have modelled what a successful scheme would look like. What sort of number do you think a successful scheme would have?
Well, part of what we're doing here is trialling the concept. I think the principle, which says, frankly, if you arrive here on a small boat, you have paid thousands of pounds to a criminal people smuggler, actually you should be being returned. That money should be lost, should be gone. And we should be taking those who have applied lawfully, who've been through security checks. Again, that is the right principle. We obviously want to be able to expand it as much as possible, but we are trialling this, and we've been very clear about this being a pilot programme. The other thing I would say is that Greece and Turkey made a similar arrangement about returns back in 2016. That actually only operated for a short period of time, but had a very significant impact. So we want to trial this, we want to work with France to do this, but of course this has never happened before, and 6 months ago people said no, this wasn't possible, it couldn't be done, and now we've got the treaty into place.
A couple more questions on this, and thank you for your specific answers to my questions. You say in your release that this will all be pending decisions on the long-term future of the arrangement made after June 2026, so you guys will look at it as well. Could the French look at it and decide that they're not happy with this and pull out?
Well, this is a joint agreement. It's a joint agreement with France. It'll be reviewed month by month, and we'll make adjustments to it month by month as well. So the programme will run until June of next year, but we will be reviewing it continually. And it is welcome. We have the support from Germany, from the EU, so from other European countries for us running this pilot programme as well. That is also, I think, important.
Yeah, and you'll be mindful, though, you've got to keep those relationships good, because you don't want there to be a falling out for some reason over something else that then scuppers this deal, because they could kill it.
Well, I think there's always needed to be stronger partnership working and stronger enforcement between our countries. One of the other crucial things that France has now agreed to do, which they had never previously agreed to do before, is to change their maritime rules. So they intervene in French waters. And we've seen part of the problem this year has been criminal gangs taking advantage, exploiting those French rules, loading those dangerous boats up in French waters, in shallow waters, those disgraceful scenes that we've seen, and that is them taking advantage of the fact that the French rules meant no interventions at all once the boats were in the water. They're changing those rules. We hope that will now also be operationalised during this summer, and that will also lead to stronger prevention work from France as well.
I just want to move you on to another area surrounding immigration, though, but in the political sphere. You will have seen the comments yesterday from Nigel Farage about his plans to try and deal with immigration. He said something that was quite specific, and I want to get your response to it. He talks about, because of the tension that we've seen on the streets for the past few weeks of people protesting outside migrant hotels, that the police should routinely reveal the ethnicity of suspects of rape and sexual assault. Is that something the government's minded to do?
Well, we want more information, more transparency and more information to be provided. We've said this for some time, and it's why we asked the Law Commission to accelerate their review into the issues around contempt of court, because that's about what information can be released once there are legal proceedings underway, once there's a trial process underway. We want that accelerated exactly because we want more information to be provided. And I'd give you an example recently when we had the case, the recent national security and terrorism investigations, the high-profile cases. The police announced immediately that the people they had arrested were Iranian, and the Crown Prosecution Service explained that once they made the charges, that some of those suspects were in the immigration and asylum system. So that information was provided in those cases. It is an operational decision currently as to what information can be provided in a live investigation. Nevertheless, we think there should be greater transparency and we think more information should be provided.
I mean, you've been very clear then. So you are in favour of there being more detail about people who are suspected of these kinds of crimes?
I think where there are arrests, where there are charges particularly, we do want to see more information, but we do recognise the issues around making sure there can be a fair trial, and that's why we're doing this through the Law Commission process rather than just a sort of ad hoc basis.
I'll put that question to you from a statement made by Nigel Farage, and I don't need to tell you this is perhaps your fourth announcement in as many days around immigration. Some people are describing what the government is doing right now as panicking. Is this panic? Is this panic to try and get ahead of reform?
Well, actually, I think there's a step-by-step set of things that we have been doing over the last 12 months, including, for example, increasing the number of returns, the 28% increase in returns of failed asylum seekers in the last 12 months compared to the previous government. We've had a 50% increase in the last 12 months in illegal working arrests and raids in order to make sure that the rules are properly being respected and enforced. We set up the new Border Security Command and we brought in the new legislation to bring in counter-terror-style powers to go after the smuggling gangs. Unfortunately, the Conservatives and Reform are blocking and opposing that legislation. So they're voting against the very legislation that we are bringing in to bring in counter-terror-style powers and to make sure that, for example, sex offenders are banned from the asylum system. So I know they do a lot of shouting, but actually when it comes down to it, they oppose the serious action we need.
OK. With all of that, Secretary, we're not going to dwell on it, but you'll know that the numbers have gone up since you have been in office, despite all of this talk about smashing the gangs.
And one of those issues that I think that is also linked to the way in which the criminal gangs are operating and exploiting the rules and loading people up in French waters. That's the serious issue we have to deal with.
We'll hold you to it, and we'll speak to you again, of course, as this process goes on. I want to move you on to the Middle East and Gaza. Specifically, I want to talk to you about Palestine Action. They're a group that you have now prescribed as a terrorist group. You'll know there's a huge demonstration planned this week. The police themselves are saying they are prepared to arrest hundreds of people. Is the government happy to see hundreds of people out this weekend in support of Palestine Action being arrested?
Well, the prescribing process is based on detailed security assessments and security advice to me as Home Secretary, and I have to take that immensely seriously. It's based on violent action and injuries that this group has taken, including on national security targets, but also injuries to people, and also some disturbing information referring to future planning as well. So that's the information that I have to take immensely seriously when making those prescribing decisions. I do understand there will be people who do not know, who are wanting to protest, who do not know what the nature of this group is. Let's be clear, this is not about Palestine or protesting about Palestine. This is about a particular narrow, specific group that has both a violent record and information and about future planning as well. More of that information is likely to be revealed once court cases come through and can't be in advance. But I would say to people, this is not a non-violent organisation.
That's your message. Do not go and protest. Last question. Thank you for your patience here. It's about the 300 children that were announced would be coming to the UK. When will that start? And will those children be allowed to stay here once their treatment has finished? This is 300 Palestinian children.
So we're working at pace at the moment across the different departments. You'll know that a very small number of children have come to the UK.
Small,
it's very small. It is very small. And so we have been looking to increase that and to do so step by step to make sure that we can both make sure that people can get the treatment that they need, that these injured children can get the treatment they need and the families can get support. We will set out more information about this, I think, in the coming days, because that work is underway at the moment, but we do need to, take action to help the injured children.
Absolutely. And are you minded that they'll be able to stay here when after their treatment?
Obviously, some of them
they can't
will.
Go back to Gaza,
some of them,
they?
exactly. Some of them will be in that situation, but that's why I think we need to set out the full details that's being worked on at the moment.
OK, Secretary, I'm going to have to leave it there because we've run out of time, but I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.